So I've been having conversations with a few of my friends lately. And so one of the things that came up was the resurrection and understanding how history works, that you can't really prove history, but you have to take the evidence. And so when people make the argument about the New Testament and saying that there's contradiction in the New Testament and that you can't prove that Jesus ever existed or you can't prove the resurrection, that's just not true. Understanding that a contradiction or a difference in the story does not necessarily mean contradiction. First of all, it's not a contradiction, but you're going to have differences in the story, right? Variations in the story. And that actually proves accuracy of the story. And I have here, we're about to watch a video of this guy. I don't know if he's an atheist or not, but I know he's against the Bible. He debates biblical scholars to disprove the Bible as the word of God. But he's intellectually honest enough to admit that the proof of the resurrection is real as far as when it's concerned historically. So let's take a look at this, and you guys leave your thoughts and ideas and whatever you think about it in the comments.
I mean, this sometimes is used as an argument for the existence of God, but I think more successfully is used once you've already established the existence of God to try to establish the truth of Christianity. And that is a bunch of historical facts surrounding Jesus's alleged resurrection that you sort of have to ask what the best explanation is for. Now, you can't historically prove a resurrection, but you can historically prove events and then ask what the best explanation of those facts is. So people will often point to the fact that there was a man called Jesus walking around morally teaching people who was crucified by the Romans, and that a few days after his death was seen, or people made claims that they'd seen him after he'd died. And the question is, how do you explain these facts? The gospel reliability is an interesting question in general, and people will often on the surface level say, look, the Bible contradicts itself. It's full of contradictions. And there are some seeming contradictions in the gospel stories. But of course, what a lot of people neglect to consider is that when we're talking about a text as a historical document, contradictions shouldn't make us think that it's less accurate, but more accurate. If historical sources contradict each other, that's evidence of their accuracy rather than evidence of the opposite. Because if this is a mythical story that somebody's making up, you would expect the details to concur. That is, if you're questioning two suspects in some kind of murder trial or something, and their stories match up perfectly, like to the T, the timings, everything, it arouses suspicion. It seems like somebody's inventing something. Someone's coming up with a story here and trying to perfect it. Now, people have this idea that a bunch of people got together and tried to fool the world into this sort of mythical story of this man rising from the dead. Do you think they would have made the mistake of just including these blatant contradictions?
Are we all here? I need 100% participation for this to work.
Yeah, everyone's here. All 12, 11. 11 of us. Well, what's the plan?
Well, as you know, Jesus is dead. But stick with me, okay? Stick with me. I have a plan. We are going to steal his body.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. What's next?
And then we're going to tell the whole world that he rose from the dead.
Oh, you know I'm in.
I love it already.
All right, classic. Then what?
And then we're all going to get brutally murdered.
Wait, come again. Could you go over that last part real quick?
Oh, what? We get murdered. What's the problem?
I like it. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pete. I love me a good hoax as much as the next guy, right? What's in it for us? Do we all get riches, fame, and fortune first, right?
No, get this. You're going to be hated, persecuted, and reviled for the rest of your life!
Okay, guys. Okay, fellas. Look, I gotta be missing something here, right? Okay? I mean, why on earth would we do this? Can we start over?
Oh, okay. We'll start from the beginning. Everybody for John, the beloved disciple.
So, okay. We go down to Jesus' tomb.
Sounds good.
This is really easy.
Then we pay off the Roman soldiers that are guarding the tomb with their lives.
Why would they do that?
Then we somehow roll away the big stone that's in front of the tomb.
Obviously, you have to move the rock first. Duh.
And then we steal his body.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Then we tell the whole world that he rose from the dead, and we get brutally murdered for our troubles.
Epic prank, bro.
Peter, you rock! Oh, okay, guys. Okay, and then what?
Then we all get killed. Come on.
When do we see ourselves become exalted and praised?
That's just it. You don't!
What is happening? Anyone hear what I'm saying? This is the most idiotic plan of all time!
Chill out, bro. I mean, do I really have to explain the joke to you? Look, it's that we lie about Jesus' resurrection, and then we all die.
How am I supposed to chill out when our heads are getting cut off? Or worse, what is wrong with you guys? Thomas! Okay, look, back me up here. I know you can't be cool with all this. I know you gotta have some doubts. Come on.
Doubts? I would never have any doubts!
Okay, you guys have officially lost it, okay? I am out of here. I'd rather be exiled to a deserted island than spend another minute with you wackos.
Have I got some good news for you?
Contradictions? I don't know. In other words, I think if somebody was making it up, they probably would have taken more care.
Is there a term for this?
I'm sure there is.
Right.
I'm not a historian. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Right.
But we do see contradictions on the minor points. We don't really see much disagreement about the major points. I mean, there is still enough disagreement that I think to arouse suspicion. I mean, I'm saying this as if I'm some kind of Christian or theist. I sort of put on that hat when I'm asked to have a conversation of this kind. I mean, it does seem to me suspicious, for example, that the Gospel of Mark, which is the earliest gospel, contains no post-resurrection appearances. And then the Gospel of Matthew does include post-resurrection appearances. The Gospel of Luke includes even more. It's only in the Gospel of John that we get, for instance, doubting Thomas, which is the latest gospel, canonical gospel, I should say. That's where that arises. And in fact, the story of doubting Thomas, famously, he doesn't believe that it's the risen Christ. And Jesus says, "Come and touch my wounds." And he touches his wounds and he says, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus says, "You believe because you've seen. Blessed are those who believe without seeing." So in my view, what we have is this so-called mythological development of no post-resurrection appearances. And as the time goes on, as we get further away from the source, the stories get more fantastical, ending in a moral lesson to believe without
evidence.
Seeing. Yes.
Yeah.
This to me does seem a little bit suspicious. So it is a fascinating mystery, like something very strange happened on Easter morning. Because how do we explain the fact that this man gets crucified by the Romans and then people claim to see him after he died and were willing to be put to death for that belief? Now, okay, maybe he didn't die. Unlikely. As they say, the Romans knew how to kill people. And supposedly, they check. And they go to break the legs of the other prisoners as they're taking them down from their crosses. They were taking them down sort of temporarily, and they hadn't died yet. But when they go to break Jesus' legs, they realize he's already dead, which is why his legs don't get broken. And they stab him in the side with a stick to make sure that he's dead. I mean, this was a very effective method of killing people, and they knew how to do it. So it's unlikely that he just somehow survived this.
Is that the guy that stabbed him with the spear and supposedly there's blood on the spear? Or was this, did he get stabbed?
Someone stabs him with a spear after he's on the cross. And it's essentially to check he's dead. Okay, so likelihood is that he was actually crucified. And then a few days later, people are claiming to see him. maybe they're lying, but then you don't tend to go to death for something you know to be a lie. You're willing to be put to death for things that you think are true, that are false, but very rarely are people willing to die for beliefs that they don't actually believe themselves. That doesn't really happen. So they probably weren't lying. As maybe they were mistaken.
Fooled.
Yeah. Now, I've known you since about 2019, which is probably, it will have been slightly longer than Jesus was with his disciples, but imagine spending every single day with this person, living with this person, eating with this person. And then you've only seen him a few days ago. And somehow, imagine somebody managed to convince you that they were me. Even if I had a twin brother, they probably wouldn't be able to convince you that it was me. Or maybe they were hallucinating in groups. One of the earliest gospel, New Testament sources is the letters of Paul, the earliest. And in one of those letters, Paul refers to Jesus having appeared to 500 people all at once. And in some of the Gospels, you get at least some group appearances, at least more than one person, and sometimes, groups of disciple, the 12, all seeing Jesus all at once. You don't get group hallucinations like that. And so it doesn't seem like they were mistaken either. And so if they're not mistaken, they're not making it up. What explains the fact that these people claimed to see him after he had died? And the Christian apologists will say that the only real plausible explanation is that he really did rise from the dead. Now, it's an interesting argument and it's quite powerful. However, my response has always been that this sort of process of elimination is very clever, and that's how it's usually run, but it can go the other way. I mean, imagine I were trying to prove that there was such thing as a group hallucination. I know it's extraordinary, but there was a group hallucination. And I tried to prove it by saying, well, what are the other explanations? Or maybe they lied. Well, they wouldn't do that because they wouldn't go to death. Or maybe a man rose from the dead, but come on, that doesn't happen. That breaks all the laws of physics. So the only remaining option is this. Kind of depends where you start. But it is weird. Something very strange seems to have happened on that morning.
So see, the argument is not about whether Christ existed. That's not even debatable. It's historically proven fact that Christ did exist. Nobody's ever debated that. Nobody's tried to debate that. The only thing up for debate is he who he claims he was? Is he the Christ? Is he the Son of God? Can he forgive sins? So when people make the argument about Jesus didn't exist, that he didn't resurrect, no historian with credibility will say that Christ didn't exist or that he didn't resurrect. The evidence is there. The verdict is out. He 100% existed. He 100% resurrected. Now, the argument, the debate is he who he claims to be? And, that's another conversation for another time. Yes, but we can get into that. But like I said, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you think. If you disagree, leave it in the comments. Let's just be respectful. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Ain't just a broadcast. This is family right here. Laugh. Learn and be encouraged. Let go of all the fear. Bold faith.